Hey everyone, Angelo here, Hollywood filmmaker, greatest screenwriter in the history of the world, recovering homeless guy in LA in the midst of this siege by the National Guard and the Marines and ICE here to terrorize people and black bag people, just abduct them, rip them out of their jobs, their uh, schools, etc. Anywhere they can grab them. And I'm just, always reflecting, always learning. I'm learning how much I always want to try and see the angles and understand everything. Um, and seeing how wimpy and pathetic and morally hollow and bankrupt a lot of Democrat objections are, um, or or their opposition is to Trump and the Republicans. Um, what I mean by that is they've been largely cooperative with this fascist movement. They've been keen on trying to get the same donors that donate to Republicans to donate to them, to get Elon Musk and Mark Zuckerberg and Toyota and GM and like every major firm you can think of to say, oh, no, 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 work with us. We'll be good to you. We'll make sure you can exploit and crush workers, that workers can be underpaid, overworked, abused, sexually abused and extorted, can be put in unsafe working conditions, can be have their health care undermined, undercut. Don't worry, you'll be fine. We'll just put a little veneer of like, we care about you. Like, yeah, you can fill out some forms, and in 6 months, you can get $125 allowance for healthcare a month, and $67 for food, and you're gonna have to re-up like every 3 months to prove it's like nonsense noise. Like, see, we want, and they want congratulations for it. I was just reflecting today, looking at senator in my state, California, Senator Padilla, whose office I've emailed a number of times about different issues. Not as responsive as what's his name, Adam Schiff's office. Granted, I don't know what their staffing levels are, whatever. But and when Adam Schiff's office replies, it's usually only when they agree with me on something. So I don't think they replied when I said in the genocide in Palestine. But and Schiff's a big Israel supporter. But what was I saying? Oh yeah, I was looking at that video that's really disturbing. That's pathetic of Alex Padilla trying to ask questions to Kristi Noem, and the pathetic part was him being dragged out. Like, he was doing the honorable thing, trying to hold truth to power, trying to stand up for immigrants, which Democrats have largely not been doing. Well, I mean, in fairness, they have been doing it, but also not doing it. Excuse me, I gotta wipe my nose. They've been, creating sanctuary cities. They've been helping with like certain, like a lot of like procedural things for immigrants to be able to allow them to stay, but also to allow them to stay permanent underclass and not just fight for them to get legal status and documentation, and stop trying to play to the right. Basically stuff like Kamala Harris and Joe Biden, those thugs. Kamala Harris saying, if you're coming here illegally, go home. And Biden deporting 1.5 million people. That was terror. That was cruelty. That was sadistic, vicious. And even when they try and do that, and when Kamala Harris ran to the right, trying to say to Republicans disaffected with Trump, hey, don't worry, we'll crush immigrants too. Don't worry, we're totally against immigrants. They never even get credit for that anyways. So it's like, people are saying Biden had an open border. He deported 1.5 million people. That's horrendous. That's absolutely horrific. A massive waste of resources. And it's completely led to this point. It's completely been inspired by and given inspiration to the white supremacist ideology that says this must be a white ethno-state, and that immigrants, brown and black immigrants, are ruining this country, and that Jews are paying to politicians to do it. Amusingly enough, or ironically enough, it's sickening. About the idea of anti-Semitism. With I saw the New York mayoral debate going on now, where politician after politician, except for Mamdani. Good for him, man. He's actually saying like stuff about like holding Israel to account, not trying to mealy mouth it with like both sides. Like there was another candidate, I forget his name, saying that Israelis and Palestinians have to learn to work together. It's like saying the Germans and the Jews in the concentration camps have to learn to get along, like completely ignoring the reality of it. Basically using anti-Semitism as just a farce, as theater for them, as an excuse to say, we'll accept AIPAC money, and we don't give a damn about Arabs. We hate Arabs. They profess not to. They profess, oh, we want Muslims safe here and Muslims, Arabs. They conflate those a lot. But at the same time, what they're really saying is, oh, up close, yeah, I'll be friendly with Muslims and Arabs. But when I don't have to face them, oh, let's bomb them. Let's fund killing them all. And if anyone says we shouldn't do that, we're just going to claim anti-Semitism. It's bogus. It's trash. So we need to be militant about speaking about this stuff and holding Democrats to power. I was thinking Adam Schiff. He's like speaking well enough in a lot of cases against Trump's excesses and against the National Guard here and against Alex Padilla being ripped out of that press conference with Kristi Noem. And yet this son of a bitch voted for the crime of the century, right up there with the Palestinian genocide, which is he voted for the Iraq War. And then he said, like many other Democrats, oh, I'm against this. Like he said, you know, we were lied to about this, so Bush should be punished. First of all, the lies were obvious. So obvious. Second of all, if everything Bush said was true, there was no pretext for war. There was no reason to invade Iraq, even if they did have weapons of mass destruction. We have them. Israel has them. They have over 200 or so. They shouldn't, but they do. That's not a reason to invade a country. Second of all, you can look at it's just so ignorant, like the whole like lead up to it. And I don't just mean the months leading up to it, the decades of interfering with Middle Eastern countries, overthrowing their governments, dumping hundreds of millions of dollars into factions and movements and governments to fight fight proxy wars. It's so bogus. And that's on top of Schiff's support of genocide in Palestine. And he's a capitalist, fundamentally. All these guys are capitalists. All these women are capitalists in the Democrats with maybe few, I mean, at least at the federal level. Like, and I'm looking at even Bernie Sanders. Look, he's got a lot of good things he's saying, but his anti-oligarchy speeches and tours kind of farcical now, because it's like, you're saying this now like Joe Biden's not an oligarch, that Bernie Sanders isn't an oligarch, that granted nowhere near the same level as Elon Musk or something, but what I mean is you're fundamentally upholding the police power, military power. Israel, he's trying to separate the project of Israel with Netanyahu and say this is just Netanyahu's project, this extermination campaign. And he for a long time, he would not criticize the police strongly. It was only like with the start of around like Black Lives Matter, around then, he started getting more forceful about it. But normally he just talks about police and military like they're all heroes. It's like, okay, how concerned are you about your career versus how important it is to be willing to give up your career with the Democrats and speak to people in a way that like reaches their conscience. His anti-oligarchy tour, it seems like, honestly, like kind of like grandstanding now. It's like, well, it's good you're saying that stuff, but it also is sort of like hermetically sealed. It's like, oh, her oligarchy started now. No, oligarchy's been this country since the beginning. That's what the slave owners were, oligarchs. That's what weapons contractors are. That's what major corporations are. That's what CEOs are. This is so bogus that like we're doing anything now. It's like, again, it's good to inform people, to get them connected. Like all that's fine and good as far as his anti-oligarchy tour. But like also this scumbag, Bernie Sanders, like, I don't call him a scumbag overall, everything, but like scumbag voted to confirm Marco Rubio as Secretary of State. Well, Marco Rubio is the one who's been trying to disappear Arabs who are speaking out against the Israeli genocide, and then Bernie Sanders doesn't really speak strongly against the people who, or in favor of the people who have been disappeared, like Mahmoud Khalil, and I can't remember the Turkish woman's name. I believe she was released from Tufts University, but was she? And there was the other guy who was a Palestinian refugee who was shot in the leg, whose friend was killed in front of him in Palestine. Like, went through all kinds of horrors, and he's the guy who went out and said, "I want to tell Trump I am not afraid of you." He and AOC are shit on that, like, just barely. I mean, okay, they're like vaguely decent only on a huge curve compared to other Democrats, like god awful bums and trash fascists like Richie Torres and Hakeem Jeffries and Chuck Schumer and so many others. And compared to Republicans, you're fundamentally, like I said, he voted for Marco Rubio. So did Chuck Schumer. So did many, many Democrats. Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez has waited way too long to speak out against Israel. And it's funny, she did speak out against them more in her campaign when she was first running for Congress. And then she got kind of caught in an interview where it was clear she didn't really know much about what Israel was doing to Palestinians. So when she was asked, like, what's Israel doing that's wrong, she didn't really know what to say. I'm like, that's so easy to know. I was reading about that stuff in 2006 from Glenn Greenwald, who's had a very strange turn over the years, but he was very good about, like, opening my eyes about that. Where I remember I was at a friend's apartment, and he and his friends were asking me what I thought of, and they were all from Ghana. They were friends from college. And they asked me, like, what I thought of Israel. And I said, and I didn't know all the dynamics of it. Of course, I still don't, but like I said, it seems like a lot of what Israel does is they'll, like, fire a missile into an apartment building and then say, "Oh, we didn't mean to do that." And they all were like, "Yeah, man, yeah." And I didn't quite like, and I grew up with Israel propaganda totally. CNN to me was that, like, they would portray all kinds of, like, things in a right wing bent. Palestinians and, like, the ghoulish Yasser Arafat as, like, these wild savage dogs, and the Israelis as cosmopolitan. It's like they speak English. They're like us. They're European, you know. Never disclosing or showing, like, the fundamentals of Zionism, what it means, both Israeli Zionism among the people who want, like, just, or separate, like, Christian Zionism with just the broad, like, a secular Zionism, which is just wanting an ethno state for Jewish people, which is also really disturbing. Like, you just, like, like Jewish supremacy, basically. You think like that would be a horrible thing, in that a lot of people do say, like, yeah, just send all the Jews to Israel, get them out of here. But also Christian Zionists who don't give a damn about Jews, who just want them to go there because they believe when they all die that it's going to bring, or like Jesus is going to come back. Basically, like, a world war is going to start. It's going to cause the end of the world and bring about Jesus to judge the Jews and either send them to, they'll be sent to hell or convert to Christianity. That's literally what they believe. Anyways, Democrats are pathetic. Karen Bass is pathetic. She's been trying to cut transportation funding here to shore up the LA budget deficit, but continues to boost police funding. So she's a fascist accomplice. Gavin Newsom, admittedly speaking pretty admirably and forcefully, still not enough. And he can't even speak with clarity about why Trump is sending the National Guard here. He said it's just to sow chaos and division. It's not what the founders wanted. Well, the founders wanted black people to be slaves. But it's because Trump is a white supremacist and a capitalist, and capitalism, fascism, kind of like coming to a nexus here, in that it all capitalism leads to fascism. The instability, the contradictions in it do. The destruction of our lives by being eroded by corporate rule gives way to the material conditions that cause people to be attracted to these demagogues like Trump, and to scapegoat immigrants and Jews and women and LGBTQ people and anyone who basically isn't a straight white man. And even for most straight white men, they don't have any use for you. So they'll happily make you homeless, send you to prison, or use you as cannon fodder in the military. And the National Guard and Marines are seeing that now in LA, where it's like, yeah, they don't have a real mission. The National Guard, they didn't even provide money for lodging or food, so that you may have seen a picture of them sleeping on a warehouse floor. No blankets, no pillows, nothing. I'm like, damn, I slept better when I was homeless. And I've heard stories, reports that they're the troops there are like very demoralized. Like this isn't really what they wanted. But in America, like you do what things you don't want to do for money, and if you don't, you go homeless. Like that's the penalty. So there's always someone willing to do your job for less. It's always easy to use the threat of homelessness as a cudgel against workers, or now using deportation as a threat hanging over them. So if undocumented workers speak up for their rights at work against abuse, against wage theft, they can just be deported. If the Trump administration or conservatives, and hey, I was one for years. I read Sean Hannity, Rush Limbaugh, Larry Elder, Tammy Bruce. I was shocked that she's in Trump's administration now. Bernard Goldberg, Tucker Carlson, many others I don't remember. A lot of the books were not good. Oh, Thomas Sowell, he was one I read a lot. A lot of his articles. What's his name? Horowitz? I forget his name. But he said his big thing he always said was he was a liberal or leftist until his friend was murdered by a Black Panther. I can't, maybe David Horowitz. I don't remember his name. But a lot of these people I read, and I grew up steeped in a lot of this stuff, and it became apparent just how much of a lie it all was. It's not that I turned on it like, oh, I thought this all was all true, but it's lies, like I was disillusioned. No, I just gained my humanity. I started listening to people. If people are actually trying to stop illegal immigration, like to make it so we don't have illegal immigration, you wouldn't be doing things that the Trump administration is doing, like trying to undermine TPS, the temporary protected status, which gave people legal status here, but now they're taking it away. So now they don't have legal status. That's automatically, with a pen stroke, creating many more undocumented immigrants. You wouldn't be trying to take away DACA status. I read something like Kristi Noem's trying to take away legal status here for 1 million undocumented immigrants. So in other words, you're trying to create it all. And again, they don't want them all out. They want them here in fear, terror, and in sexual exploitation as slaves. And if you don't want to be part of the program, you'll go homeless. Meaning if you don't cooperate in this capitalist system where people like Trump are just bragging about, hey, look, we can make a lot of money. That's money makes you better. You're closer to God when you make more money. Unless you want to be part of that, and you cannot be like a good person and exploit people. You basically, you're saying, I'm either going to be subjugated by the system, or I'm going to subjugate others with this system. And there is a better way. We can just take care of each other. We can just treat each other well. We can cut this police funding and make it so we have safe streets in LA, meaning we have public transportation that runs efficiently. We have wide sidewalks that aren't broken. We have proper street lighting. We have good bus shelters. We have more narrow streets because we have much more public transportation and safe bike paths to get around. We have denser housing, so we don't just have rich, wealthy homeowners wanting to keep LA so car-centric because they want to be in their own enclaves, ethnic enclaves, white people, away from black and brown people who would threaten them with living near them because they view the existence of black and brown people as provocative, as a threat. I know the conservative playbook. I'm like the conservative whisperer. I was one for years. It's not that I ever thought I was racist. Of course, I just thought, well, follow the law. U.S. military might is right, etc. And also, we need to be concerned about nuclear war. These morons in the government have the ability to launch a nuclear weapon at any time. We're spending huge amounts, like many hundreds of billions, to build more nuclear weapons. This is folly. This is madness. It's pathetic and shameful that people don't speak about it more, and I include myself in that. I should be speaking about it more. One thing that keeps me updated about it is the Union of Concerned Scientists. They do a lot of work to try and advocate against more nuclear weapons, and I think, and also decommissioning nuclear weapons. I think we should have a world with no nuclear weapons. I think America should lead the way in decommissioning our nuclear arsenal, and we're perfectly capable of making good faith negotiations with Iran instead of threatening to bomb them, which it looks like Israel's about to do, and America's not, or Trump's not willing to help them, but he's getting out of the way and saying, like, yeah, go ahead. We just don't want to do it because, we're sick of this shit. But fundamentally, it's still horrific and wrong. And we could actually have a world where we live in peace and we're neighbors. And also, we should have a law at the very least that says the president, any president, is completely prohibited from launching a first nuclear strike. Meaning they cannot just order it. It has to, and this is the minimum. Like, I don't ever want nukes launched. I don't even think in retaliation they should be launched, because that's not defense. That is still mass murder, and that would help hasten the end of most of life on Earth, if not all of it, or at least all human life. But at the very least, the president should be barred from launching a nuclear first strike. Bernie Sanders, to his credit, did advocate for that at one point. I don't know what came of that, but we should be talking to our elected leaders, your senators, your congresspeople, and demand that. If nothing else, demand the president cannot launch a nuclear first strike, and to start decommissioning our nuclear arsenal, no war with Iran. These are just the beginning, the baby steps towards actual peace, and let's bring that money back here for actual safety, for things like good bus shelters, for safe, secure housing, prosecuting slumlords, building free housing for people, affordable housing, building more apartments, and building the public transportation around those places that can get people mobile, get them better jobs, and put them in a position where they don't have to choose between going to an exploitative job or going homeless, where they can say, oh no, I don't need this job because you're not treating me well, and force employers to be more competitive. Again, this is just the start. There shouldn't be work, but force employers to compete with each other to actually improve conditions at work, because people can just drop out. There should be competition among them, not this cutthroat competition amongst employees to try and survive and eke out a meager existence, and most people are doing just that. So anyways, those are my thoughts. I hope everyone's well, and I hope we redeem ourselves of all this, and that we kick ICE and the National Guard and the Marines out of Los Angeles. Keep protesting, keep speaking up, donate to bail funds, and be well. And also read up on stuff, learn about different perspectives. That's what changed me, and it continues to change me. And I can continue to just amazed at the stuff I learned. So anyways, thanks for watching, everyone. Let me know what you think. Bye.